So my project was on propaganda through literature and how words are more powerful a lot of the time than, say, spoken word. And when we think propaganda, immediately people tend to think about time periods like World War II, times of war, where people are trying to manipulate your thought. Now this happens on either side. The U.S. wasn't particularly as guilty as Nazi Germany. We used propaganda to promote the war effort, try to get people to join, increase work production. They used it for simple things like car sharing. I mean, it doesn't have to be a negative thing. Even in not war times, this comic was actually published before World War II, before the U.S. joined the fight, but yet it shows a lot of symbolism with America punching Hitler square in his jaw. So I think that speaks a lot of power and volume, how propaganda is all around us all the time. Propaganda is meant for the masses. It's meant to be as general as possible, and it's supposed to apply to everyone as possible. It's meant so a child in that crowd can look at a poster and get the same impression a 6-year-old man can. And it's supposed to invoke the same sense of patriotism or hate towards someone or something. In The Book Thief, which was my first book, there's a little girl named Liesel, and she can't read at first, but as she learns to read, it really it shows her the power of words in Nazi Germany, and it shows how she starts through other experiences realizing how Hitler also realizes the power of words, and that's why he starts to eliminate Western culture effectively. Things like the Hitler Youth would perform book burnings to eliminate Western propaganda as they saw it in words. And it was these ideas that helped fuel things like rebellion against Hitler and realizing that his fascist ways weren't necessarily the most productive. In the other book, 1984, it's a really important quote, "It's a beautiful thing, the destruction of words." George Orwell himself created the book to spread awareness about propaganda and oppression, and it was really important to show how his main character, Winston, actually made his living destroying other works of literature and replacing other things that the party had said with things that were more accurate to follow the time period. He was using his own words to manipulate everyone around him to get his goals achieved. And anything from pamphlets to porn to movies to absolutely anything, he would edit to influence our ideas. And even today, in the world around us, there's still propaganda. News puts out propaganda. Everything puts out propaganda. Right here, a popular comedy series. Comedy gets the attention, so it's very effective propaganda. In America especially, we put out all sorts of things. Iran does propaganda against us, China, everyone. In a Stanford study, words on pages influence the mind more than words spoken. So if I were to talk to Shinborn and say something, and then he read something contradictory on a paper with no author published on it, it would have more of an effect. Thank you.